We are live. Oh my God, I can't believe this already. We are episode 7, and this podcast gets bigger and bigger every week. We are lucky to have Ethan on with us today from Crime Scene Collective. Now, Ethan, I just met you. What does Crime Scene Collective do? But I heard great things about you. I know you're friends with a lot of the other creators.
Hey, Danny, thanks for having me. For anybody streaming on my TikTok, go to YouTube, the Minor Details podcast with Danny Minor. We're live right now. My name's Ethan. I'm with a very small organization called Crime Scene Collective. Our mission is to basically help families that are going through a nightmare crisis, whether their child's missing or whether they are in pursuit of justice. We try to be the warm blanket that comes around and helps them through this crisis. We try to connect them with influencers, podcasters, national media, independent media, basically anybody that can help get their child's face or their story out there. And, you know,
hey, count me in now. Count me in. Send me anything.
I appreciate that. We work directly with the families right now. I would say we're assisting 3 families that are going through various things. You met Layla's mother 2 weeks ago, maybe, Jennifer Santinello.
Yes. And I met the stepmother also. I met both.
Yes. Yep. And so Jennifer is one of my good friends. I've been in touch with Jennifer Santinello since last year. We've been here and there. We're getting these little nuggets of information, trying to get a little podcast here. She came to CrimeCon. I introduced her to probably half a dozen creators that were there. And, so many of these families, they just don't know what to do. They're like, this is the worst time of my entire life. How do I move forward? What can I do to get my child's face out? And our goal is to just sort of come in almost like a manager in a way and just say, hey, we got you. You work with the law enforcement. You help find your child. We're going to connect you with interviews and opportunities if you want them to help get this story out for you.
Oh my God, that is an amazing thing you do. Honestly, folks, I did not know this until this moment of what you do actually. That is unfriggin' believable. Because think about this, Ethan, and I'm sure this is why you brought this together. Because you're worrying about your child. You're worrying about talking to law enforcement. You're not thinking, I got to get flyers. I got to get on podcasts. I got to get the word out. And you do that for them. That is unbelievable. That is awesome.
I do what I can. I try to be a voice for those families. It's always better when the family will participate directly if they're willing to or emotionally able to. But if not, here I am. Like, I'm going to talk about a few stories that you graciously allowed me to talk about on here. And some more people are going to hear about a case that they might not have known about before today.
Yes, exactly. And like you said, I know we're streaming live from TikTok also. If you want to watch the whole podcast, go to the Danny Minor podcast, The Minor Details. You'll see my big head. Just click subscribe and you can watch us. But Ethan, honestly, it's amazing. I can see my followers making comments here. Before you get into any stories, is this like, how did you get into this? Were you a cop? Did something happen in your life, or you just decided to do this?
Man, that is an excellent question. I ask myself this a lot. I go back to when I was about 5 years old, and my mother instilled a terrifying fear in me that something bad was going to happen to me as a child. And she referenced the Adam Walsh story. I don't know if you remember John Walsh.
Oh, God,
the freaking legend. John Walsh became a legend due to a tragic event with his son. And that guy turned this horrible situation, and now they have helped and assisted thousands of children coming home. And I just remember as a kid, my mom was like, don't leave the front yard. Don't ride your bike off the cul-de-sac. Go in groups of 10. And I think that instilled some healthy fear in me as a child. But really, about 1.5 years ago, I've always followed true crime. But a case was presented to me by a friend just randomly, like, hey, did you hear about this? It's in my town. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And I started digging into this, and I'm like, what the heck? There's a child that is mysteriously passed away. His little sister claimed some terrible things that happened by her father. And I reached out to the mom, and I was like, hey, I have no qualifications. I have a day job in healthcare. I have no business doing this, but I read your story. I'm so sorry this happened to your family. And I would love the opportunity to try to get attention to this case. Right. And then 40 million views later, we generated over $130,000 in donations to help this family pursue an autopsy, to help them pursue exhuming a body, hiring private detectives. I mean, it just really took off. And I had the community, the collective, as I call it, all these people assist these families. And I just sort of like, I try to be the hub that's sort of like reaching out to the spokes of the wheel, you know, to get the story out.
Oh my God, Ethan, you do way more than me. You should have more followers than me. Folks, follow
Well,
Ethan. This
it's
guy's
not
a
really
hero.
about,
He's
it's not
helping
really
families
about
out of the
us.
goodness of his heart. Honestly,
It's
Ethan,
not.
that's true. How many people do you have working for you? Is there a group he is?
So I have a partner named Alina, and Alina does so much research.
Right.
She's the one that finds these stories almost always, and she basically has an excellent research ability. She creates so many Facebook groups. So anytime we work with a family, we try to set up a Facebook group for the case to help and get the parents and the family involved. They can push out information, and it's not one of these groups on Facebook where it's a bunch of chaos and slander and defamation. It's like real information. It's monitored closely because we want to give people facts. And if it comes directly from the family, that's the best way to get information if you're not getting it from law enforcement, you know? And so Alina does so much of that behind the scenes. And I'm doing most of the TikTok stuff, but she has so many contacts. I've got quite a few contacts. And when we team up, we've done some amazing things together.
Ethan, do you let me ask you something. This isn't your full-time thing. You probably have a job, right?
Yeah, I don't make any money with this. I have a full-time job, but I work from home, and my boss knows my extracurricular activities. But really, if I'm not doing my day job stuff, I'm spending all my time trying to get the ball rolling to help some family for whatever it is that they need.
God bless you, man. I'm telling you, for you to do something like that with no monetary value, just out of the goodness of your heart, man, honestly, you deserve 1 million followers, and I'm going to promote you. I promise you. Because people are saying it here in the comments too. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is that you would do this out of the goodness of your heart. And I know what you mean. My mom used to do the same thing. Don't go outside by yourself. Don't do this. Don't do this. Call me right after the movie. You know, my mom is the same way.
I've tried to be a little more chill with my kids. Like maybe each generation will get a little more relaxed, but you know, we're just overwhelmed with information now. Like you just turn on TikTok and it's just like terrible story after terrible story. So
yes.
I try not to let that influence my parenting too much because I want them to have a normal childhood. But yes, I do agree. Stay in groups. Be vigilant, keep your eyes open, say something if you see something. But going back to like you say, just so you know, like this is a bit selfish for me because I really do enjoy helping these families. It makes me feel like I'm doing something, makes me feel good about myself. So I do get something out of this. We actually participated in the recovery of one child back in January that was missing. And like that experience catapulted my interest and passion. Like, oh my gosh, these stories often don't resolve or you have a terrible ending, but we had one that ended well. This child was recovered 2,000 miles away in Michigan, and the person that they found with her that had been grooming her is facing a life sentence now. And we helped connect dots to the media, and a PI saw that interview, and a PI found that child 2 days later. And that was just really inspiring. I know we played like the tiniest little role in that, but it just, I don't know, it felt really good. So it's a little selfish for me.
No, listen, what you're doing is definitely not selfish. You're not getting nothing for it. Nobody asked you to do this. You're doing this out of the goodness of your heart, brother. It's unbelievable. And I follow another guy, I'm sure you do, called Missing in the USA.
Yep.
He's the same way, man. He goes out there, searches for people. It's amazing for how many bad people we have in this country is as many as amazing people like yourself and him. Honest to God. And I mean that truly. And I'm buying a shirt off you so I can wear it and promote it too.
You're going to have to talk to Alina. She made this one just for me for CrimeCon. So it survived. It went through the washing machine one time. It's still. Man, I don't know. We're not really about promoting Crime Scene Collective. It's just like sort of like a headquarters where families can find us, you know, if something bad is going on or if they might want our assistance. But yeah,
Listen,
yeah, I would like
Ethan,
some apparel.
Ethan, I have a lot of people reach out to me on TikTok. Like they'll DM me, you know, if somebody's missing or a cold case, I will refer whoever, especially if it's a newly missing person, I'll refer them over to you if you can help them, if that's okay with you.
I'll try. There's only two of us really, but we right now, you know, I'd say we I always want to know about these stories. I want to connect with these families. I just there's like the laws of physics sometimes work against me where
I know.
I can't at some point I have to sleep and not lose my day job.
Listen, I'm the
yeah.
same. Listen, Ethan, I'm the same way, Ethan. Honest to God, if you want to do this job correctly, like be a good content creator, you have to live and breathe it. I go to bed thinking of it. I wake up when I think about it. It's nonstop. I'll be honest with you. My girlfriend gets mad at me. She's like, "You gotta go a day to yourself. You can't keep doing this." And you know what? I just feel like I'm ripping people off if I don't get the word out there. You know what I'm saying here? I just feel that.
Well, and you are exactly why I'm doing this, because you are a creator that has this reach. You have people that are interested in the stories that you create. And so I work with you to say, hey, this child was assaulted on the school bus and they're pursuing justice to try to get, you know, this and this. Like nobody's going to see my videos about that, you know, but they're going to see yours. So that's why, you know, I love collaborating with people like yourself, because you're really doing the heavy lifting. I'm just kind of sending you a few sentences about a story.
And I'll be honest with you. It took me, Ethan, it's probably took me about a year to start getting going. But the thing is, like, you're at about 13,000 now. Believe me, it'll go. It takes time, but it'll go, because people will realize what you're doing. And there's a ton of people on here that love true crime. They love it.
Yeah.
They love looking for missing people. They love cold cases, and they love helping. I have dedicated people on my followers that they send me dedicated things every day. Every day.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I get a lot of messages, but like I'm still figuring it out. I'm still figuring out TikTok. All my videos I get in trouble all the time because I'm like using the wrong words or putting the wrong photos up. I've been disqualified multiple times already. So
Listen,
I don't care. I'm gonna make the videos no matter what. So
Ethan, I'm gonna tell you this just to make you feel better. I was so bad with violations at one point. I had one warning left, and they were gonna ban my account. But you know what? Honest to God, when I opened my account, it said, "You're one warning away from losing your account." I mean, a big red warning came up on my thing, and I'm like, "I'm gonna lose this account." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I really just got really strict, and I haven't had a violation in over a year.
That's amazing, man. I get them all the time. I need to talk to you offline, and maybe you can show me what I'm doing wrong.
I'm not going to say I haven't had any violations. People have reported my videos, but I appealed and won. I haven't had one stick yet in the past year.
I got about 12 right now, so.
Do you? Well, listen, this is what you got to do. If you watch my videos, if you don't want to say something, I point to the word in the article.
Oh, nice.
I say, he did this, and I point to the word, or they did this, so I don't say the word. And it seems like, and here's the other thing, TikTok does not like when you show videos. I was getting violations for showing videos, and if you look at I show no videos anymore, none.
Interesting. Yeah, that's helpful. It's mostly videos. So anyway, we don't, I don't know.
She's, since they are, and you know what? Ashley's totally right. And I don't want to make this a bash TikTok, but I've had people blatantly violate stuff. I reported them, and TikTok will say no violation. Ethan, I have a guy right now pretending to be me. He DMs my followers and pretends he's me and tries to set them up in some get-rich scam.
Oh my gosh.
He calls it my backup account, and I reported him to TikTok. All my followers have. TikTok told me to sue him. They don't do anything about it. They told me to sue him. So if you see another
ridiculous
person out there pretending to be me, he has 140,000 followers. He calls it my backup account. It's not.
He's 140K.
He has 140,000 followers.
Jeez, I want whatever he's selling. I'm buying, man. That's it.
Here, like it. Yep, she reports him daily, and there's no violation. The guy,
insanity.
and he DMs my followers and pretend he's me. It's crazy. And he blocked me, so I can't see him. He blocked me. You know, it's crazy.
Man, yeah, it's the Wild West, man. I don't know. Like, I'm fascinated with the whole thing, you know, like I'm fascinated the reach that you can achieve. Like, you know, we were going to talk about Bianca Ellis a little bit, right?
Yes.
Your video, I posted about that the other day. It did okay. It did pretty well. It got violated.
Did it?
And then, yeah, but I don't care. It's whatever. But yours is like at 700,000 or something now.
Yes.
And then we saw, like, I saw today, like the body cam footage and some of the CCTV footage, you know, of the incident, and really just horrifying. I don't know if you saw all that.
Yeah, you sent it to me. I watched her. When the cops first approached her, she was in like a wheelchair, right?
Well, that was a previous arrest. That's not the same day.
Okay.
Yes, but there is footage now. The body cam has been released of her. They're in the parking lot at this grocery store, and it's a chaotic scene. And then fast forward, the cops find her just kind of walking down the street. She's still got the knife. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, we're not on TikTok. You're good.
Well, I am, but whatever.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they find her with the knife, and they get her on the ground. They arrest her, but then seeing her like walk out of this thrift store, and she's just like, she stole the knife from the thrift store, and she's just kind of like under the awning, walking out to the parking lot, looking at the knife, banging it on the wall, and then moments later, you know, that tragic incident occurred, and then her behavior at court. I mean, really, there's just so much wrong there. I don't understand it.
I mean, no doubt. I mean, she has a mental issue. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I don't know how true this is because I didn't get to look it up today because I was so busy. But they're saying that a judge released her 3 days ago. Is that true?
I don't know. I saw that she had a $5 million bond.
Yeah. Supposedly, she was arrested 3 days before this incident, and a judge released her. Now she killed this kid.
Oh, so that one, I think that was the one where she was in the wheelchair with the suitcase.
Yeah.
She was being evicted from a hotel. They told her to leave and she wouldn't go. And so the cops found her in a wheelchair with a suitcase and then I think that's what you're talking about. 3 days later is when she unalived that child in the parking lot.
Right.
So she didn't have a history of violence, but, you know, clearly she didn't even think twice.
I can't even listen. I was live here last night, and a friend of the father's was on my live, and he said the father is a veteran. He's a hero veteran of the Iraqi war and all the wars over in the Middle East. It's horrible. There's a GoFundMe set up. I told him that I would start posting the GoFundMe. He said this guy suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, but he was a hero in the war. And for this to happen to his kid is just, it's horrible. It's totally
You're talking about Julian's father, the child that passed away?
Yes.
Wow, man. I didn't know that.
I had his friend on my live last night.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's tragic.
I might actually try to get that guy on my podcast too. Oh my
God. That's terrible. I mean,
Ashley's wondering what the story is. Let me just brief people. Basically, what happened was this lady with an obvious mental health issue. Obvious, okay? She goes and she follows this family around. He has a baby in a cart in a grocery store, okay? So she's following them around, and she basically stalks them, okay? And then when they leave the store, she has a knife in her hand. She kills the 3-year-old in front of his parents. And then she goes to court and laughs at the judge and laughs at the parents. It was absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And if I
Danny's
fill him in, Ethan.
No, I mean, Danny's got some great content that he's put out on the TikTok. And I've also got a new video out that's got the body cam and some of the CCTV footage. But yeah, no, you got it exactly right. I don't think the father was there on the scene. I feel like the mother was stabbed in the shoulder. Mother? Yes, the mother got injured, but she survived. But I mean, you know, their lives are just absolutely shattered. And it happened so fast. Apparently everything was over and done with in 5 seconds, according to the cops and the news articles I read. And it can happen that fast, you know. It's terrifying. And she has no remorse. And clearly there's some issues there mentally that probably need to be addressed. Just her behavior in court was fascinating. I've never seen anything like that. It was bananas.
It was totally crazy. I mean, to kill a 3-year-old, I can't even believe somebody would do. But Ethan, every day there's something fucking bad on. Let me tell you something. Did you see the video I did today out of Las Vegas? I don't know if you'll see it.
No. What happened?
This lady, are you ready? Yeah, she was laughing. This lady in Las Vegas, she kills her 2-year-old son, kills him, murders him, puts him in a stroller, takes his brother and sister with them, strolls him down to the dumpster, and tosses his body in a dumpster with his siblings next to her. I just did a video on that. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I don't even have words for that. That's horrifying. Those poor kids, man. Wow.
And you know what? And here's the thing. You know, I did another video today. And listen, I'm not going to get political. I promise you I'm not getting political. Okay. But I just want to mention this. We got to watch the judges we are electing. These judges are progressive judges, and they don't want to put people in jail. We have a judge in Las Vegas that just got ethics violations because basically she tells clients don't mess with the police. She makes fun out of the police. She was on social media in a hot tub with 2 public defenders making fun out of the police. She just got ethics violation. These judges are becoming judges so they can release people. I'm not kidding you. You got to watch who you vote for. And I don't want to get political, but these are the facts. We're getting progressive judges that don't want to put criminals in jail. And it's just a fact. It really is. And I don't want to get political.
It's fine. I can't. I'm not allowed to.
Okay, I'm sorry for you bringing that up. But you have to bring it up a little bit because that's what's going on. I mean, clearly, it's definitely going on.
There are no doubt problems in the judicial system that are allowing dangerous people to walk the streets. And minor violations get the maximum penalty, and maximum violations get minimum penalty. It makes no sense to me. All the time, I'm confused.
I know. It's insane. I don't know what's going to happen, but something's got to straighten up. Our judicial. What I'm worried about is we're gonna start having not guilties that are guilties. We are gonna start. You got to watch that jury now because honestly, people are insane with this. Like they praise criminals, they basically kiss their asses. You know, I don't get it. You know, and I hope you're not working for the federal government. I should ask you.
No, man, I am not. But you know,
because I would have been fired from being a cop the way I talk now. I would have been fired.
You're entitled to your opinion now. You can say whatever you want.
I know. And you know what? I'll be honest with you, Ethan. When I stopped being a cop, that weight was lifted off my back. I couldn't wait to talk, and I think that's why I got a big following.
Well, I really appreciate your style and your passion about this stuff. But yeah, I don't have that, so I'm going to always kind of be operating behind the scenes. But I love popping into podcasts when I get invited. So thank you.
Yeah, I was talking. I met with Las Vegas News the other day on a separate project, and they watched my TikTok, the anchors, and they were like, "You definitely do the news different than us." They're like, "Well, today this happened." I'm like, "This effing fucking scumbag did this, did that." They're like, "Yeah, we can't do the news like you do it."
It's interesting. When I was at CrimeCon, I was curious what like traditional news anchors, how they feel about influencers and content creators in true crime. And the really good ones realize that like this is here to stay. And you guys are breaking news, and they're just fact checking, and they're reporting it to the people watching. I mean, you're the front lines, man. You're the one trolling, you know, you're seeing all the breaking news come through, and you can get something out like that. They have to run to an editor. They have to pitch the story. And by the time they get that on the air, it's already gone viral on social media.
Yes.
So the smart ones.
We're killing the news. We're killing the news. That is a fact. That's why a lot of people think all the news ratings are down because of the Lion. The news ratings are down because people are going to social media instead. And that's the fact.
Yes. And I feel like we have a responsibility to report accurately, but you know how it goes, man. If there's like a Amber Alert that happens right this second, and we want to get information out about a child that's been abducted or whatever, that information may not be, it may not be 100% accurate in that moment, as to, details come out and facts, and then you can update your story. But it's just, my background's in marketing, and it's just fascinating to me, like how word travels now, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it is moving fast always.
And listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, Ethan. Like, national cases will now reach out to me. I had the Kansas City case where them 4 guys froze to death, right? Family members from that case were reaching out to me. I had 2 different family members, and I'm thinking to myself, I told my girlfriend, they're not reaching out to CNN, they're not reaching out to Fox, they're reaching out to content creators, because this is the future. This is only going to get bigger. It really is, and it should.
So last Friday, I had one of the largest national media companies, a journalist from them reached out to me to see if I had contact with a family member, and I did. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And they put a story out the same day that hundreds of thousands of people saw. I don't have that kind of reach, but the fact that, like, major news channels are contacting creators or even people like me to connect with a family or to get a scoop, I think that's awesome. And
you know what? I saw Justin on TikTok. I know you work with him. I saw he had Gabby's family on last night on his live.
Oh, he and Joe Petito are very close friends.
I had no idea. Yeah, he had her family on last night.
Yep. Joe and Justin have kind of tag team a lot of things together. They have a lot of common interests, assisting, families or even stories that are underrepresented. And, Justin really cut his teeth and really made a name for himself during the Gabby Petito story. And, he earned Joe Petito's respect and trust. So I love that.
Yeah. I mean, if I look, I had about 50,000 followers when the Idaho case came out. So I was already, I still had a big following, not a big following, but 50,000 is pretty big. It feels like a football stadium, I always say. But the Idaho case, that threw me up. The Idaho case is what got me popular, for sure. For sure.
Well, I saw you on Cyber Sleuths. Yeah, I saw a lot of people. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
Ethan. It's crazy. My TikTok has been on the BBC, CNN, Paramount Plus, Dateline, 2020. I mean, it's crazy that I was just a small town cop, and to be on all these different forums and news stations, it's crazy. But I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way.
Well, I haven't had that sort of exposure like you have, but I do occasionally see stuff that we created or stories that we put out there, make it in major headlines. And that's the goal, man. Like, if you want your child's face out there, we will try to help you do that. And
do you want to talk
some
about
of the cases,
some of your cases now?
Yeah, sure. I'll keep it simple, but
okay.
One that I've been passionate about. And you met Jennifer Santinello. That is Layla Santinello's mother. And Layla went missing almost 1 year ago this week. It's actually next week, I believe, out of Kingsport, Tennessee. And then a few months later, another young woman goes missing in the same town. They're both like 4 feet, 10 inches tall. They're both young. They both have, it was just like, for such a small town for 2 kids that look so much alike in characteristics. Felt weird to me. I'm not making any accusations or putting any speculation out there. But Jennifer I've never seen a mother so dedicated to finding their child. I mean, Jennifer has accidentally become an influencer on her own by just constantly every day posting about her daughter, and also the other child that's not even her daughter. She posts about Holland Snap all the time too, because her heart's in the right place. She's using her old personal TikTok account. Like, she didn't mean for this to happen, and now she's got 200,000 followers. And man, I hung out with her at CrimeCon, and she's one of my favorites. I love Jennifer and her boyfriend Opie.
I'll have to cover that next year. Is that in Florida, right?
Well, so this year it was in Nashville. So I was lazy, and I live here, so I just had to drive across town, and it would be. I think it was in Orlando last summer.
Okay.
Next year will be in Denver.
Oh, that's not
So
that's a
it's not far for
45-minute plane
you.
ride, an hour.
Yeah, and there's nothing fun to do in Denver, so I don't know. I don't know if there's I don't know. But anyway, another story that I worked with that I'm still assisting is and I have videos about all this on my TikTok at Crime Scene Collective, but a family that we found, this young woman's name is Emma Philback. She's 14 years old. She has autism, and she was brutally assaulted on her school bus on the way home by another student with a metal tumbler, like a Stanley Cup, like everybody loves the Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. So there was an adult male bus driver, there was an adult male bus monitor on the bus, and this still happened. This child is bleeding profusely. It almost looks like a Hollywood special effects type thing. It's so bad.
Okay.
And the bus driver stops at her bus stop and tells her to get off and makes her walk home, just gushing.
Are you serious?
This guy,
Oh
none
my
of these
God.
guys they didn't call the cops. They didn't call a hospital. They did nothing. They made her get off the bus and walk home. So mom, of course, sees her daughter in this state and is like, WTF, where did you get red paint? And she said, Mom, this is blood. I just got beat up on the bus. So they go to the ER. They treat her for a severe concussion. They treat her wounds. And mom calls the school, right? And mom says, what the heck? How did this happen on the bus? There were 2 adults here. And show me the video. And the school says, oh man, the cameras weren't working that day. They weren't working on the bus, or the cameras didn't catch the incident on camera. And I'm like, that is total BS. The school told them not to contact the cops, that the school resource officer would handle it. You're an ex-cop. I don't think anybody can tell you not to call the police.
Nobody can tell you. No, you call the police whenever you want.
Right. Well, the family didn't know that. And so they worked with the school resource officer, who is technically law enforcement, I guess.
Yeah.
And they charged this child with assault in the 4th degree, which in Kentucky is a misdemeanor. And this person that beat her up, she went on social media and posted a photo of the tumbler with a huge dent in it and said, I beat her with this. She was bragging about it on social media. So once I saw that, I had to get involved. And we just started. I drove out there. I met the family. They have an attorney. We've got that all squared away. They got a massive personal injury attorney firm representing them now. But thank you, William. We raised about $10,000 in donations to help out. This child has not left the home since the incident. She's doing virtual therapy and counseling sessions that our donations have helped assist with. They got a puppy. And so this child is just, she's just traumatized, man, maybe forever. And I wanted to get that story out. I put out 2 videos on my TikTok that are now at like 2.6 million views. I've never had views like that. For me, that was massive.
Yeah.
So that story really resonated with people on TikTok, and it really helped generate some donations to help that family. And again, they didn't know what to do. They're like, well, the school said we can't do anything. And I'm like, BS. You can call the cops. You can hire an attorney. Somebody needs to look at that bus driver. Somebody needs to look at that bus monitor, that entire school. Why weren't the cameras working? I believe that they're on their way to justice now. It was a really sad story. But
when did this happen?
This happened in late April.
Wow, I'm surprised I didn't see about it. Well, I'll look at your video. Now that you did this, telling me this, I got to do a story on this. So I would definitely do a video.
I would love that. I know that Emma's family would love that. Honestly, I think part of the reason this didn't really get outside of TikTok is it is very graphic. Like the photos, you would not believe how bad it was. There were multiple children that got off the bus that went home and like cried to their parents. They had blood spatter on their backpack and t-shirts. It was that bad.
And that bus driver should be fired.
I mean, best case, right? Like
best case. And you know what he should do? Honestly, I would push for endangering the welfare of children. You let a kid walk home with that kind of wounds on their head, he should be arrested for endangering the welfare of children.
I think there has to be some policy that you have to pull over, call another bus to pick up the other children. There has to be something. I don't know, but I sure hope there is, because that child needed to go to the ER, and her mom had to take her, and they should have called an ambulance immediately.
I'm sorry, you did say it, but I missed it. How old was the kid?
They were both 14 years old, riding the
Okay.
school bus. They're freshmen in high school in Kentucky. They didn't know each other at all. There was no incident that led up to this. Literally, this victim was on her phone texting her mom when this other girl came from behind and just started at least 10 blows based on the injuries that she got off before anybody broke it up.
That is absolutely horrible. I'm very surprised I missed that case, but I will definitely do a video on it. So you have another one, or?
Yes. So most recently, and this one I'm really passionate about just because it's still active. I don't know if you've heard about this complicated story with these 3 people that have gone missing from Washington State. So on May 29th, Nadia Cole is seen at the airport, at the SeaTac airport. She's heading on a trip to Italy with her mother for 3 weeks. She tells her mom, hey, I got to go to the restroom. She set her stuff down. She walked out of the airport willingly, never to be seen again. Fast forward 3 hours, fast forward 3.5 hours. Her fiance is clear across, Pullman, Washington, Pullman in Moscow. So he's in Pullman, Washington, picking up his 2-year-old daughter because he gets custody for 5 days. Same day, her fiance is picking up his daughter 4 hours away. And that is the last that anybody's seen those 2. So you've got 3 people missing that are all connected from 2 separate locations in Washington State. And they've been gone since May 29th, as far as we know. So the child, the 2-year-old Soraya, I'm working closely. I'm assisting closely, let's say, her mother, Samara. And I've put a lot of videos out about this. But there is now a warrant out for the father's arrest for custodial interference because he didn't return his daughter to the mother on June 3rd when he was supposed to.
Oh, my God.
So fast forward to Friday of last week, the FBI is involved now. The FBI is essentially running this case, but women are still involved, PD.
Right.
They see a car registered to his family entering Mexico.
Oh, my God.
It's a 2014 black Cadillac XTS with Idaho license plates. I would assume in Mexico, that's pretty easy to spot.
Right.
So that's where we are right now. That child has a serious medical condition. And we don't know if the fiance, the woman, we don't know if she was involved, if she's also a victim, but there's absolutely a warrant out for the father's arrest right now. And they've been gone for two weeks as of now. And that's kind of the story I'm working on. And the mother of the child, because the biological mother is beside herself. She's been doing interviews like crazy. She was on with Nancy Grace earlier this week. She, we scheduled quite a few interviews. Our team did, and the media is really picking it up now. My videos have done okay. They haven't done great, but right. If you just Google Nadia Cole and Aaron Ong, there's a ton of articles. So I'm just thankful that there's a lot of information coming out now. But those are sort of like, in a nutshell, some of the families that I'm assisting at the moment. And, we're always ready for somebody else that is going through something. If we can find a way to assist, we will.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's crazy. I do you have kids, Ethan?
I got 2 boys. Yeah, they're older. They're 11 and 14. So they're like,
I have my daughters now are 27 and 31. But I'll be honest with you, I worry about them every day because, sex trafficking and human trafficking in Vegas is horrible. And I'll tell you what, I watch videos on TikTok of women saying they were almost human trafficked. People tried to get them in cars. Our world is getting scary for our daughters, our wives, our mothers. This world is getting scary. And, a lot of people say, well, not really. It is. 100% it is. I worry about my daughters and my girlfriend every day. I really do.
Yep.
Do you agree with me on that? Trafficking is like a huge thing right now. It's crazy.
Yes. Anytime I see an Amber Alert, I know this is like I know how this sounds, but if I see like an Amber Alert in Texas, I'm just like, oh my God, is somebody trafficking this child to Mexico? Like, I know that that's not always the case. Sometimes it is the case, but like, that's just like my first instinct now is like, could this child be being trafficked? And I didn't used to think that way, you know. I used to think, oh, it's an angry dad, you know, he's mad that he didn't get custody. But now
Uh,
you've got complete strangers snagging these kids and never to be seen again.
Ethan, I say this a lot, but I don't think I've ever explained it. When I was a cop in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, what we had was in our county was called Dauphin County. What they did was they pulled a detective from each department in Dauphin County. So every police department gave one detective. I was the detective. And if there was a missing child anywhere in the county, we got called out from our houses and immediately responded. Like immediately, boom, all detectives to the scene. And the reason for that is, and a lot of people don't realize this, if you don't find that child in 3 hours, the odds of finding that child are very slim. I hate to say that, but that child's usually murdered within 3 hours, or something bad happens. And something bad happens within a mile from where they were abducted. So they're only traveling a mile to do bad things to that child. And as sick as that sounds, we have to say that so people understand we need to get the word out like that. We need to find that child immediately, because when hours pass, less chance of finding that child. And it's sick to say that, but it's the truth. And I'm just telling you guys the truth.
No, I mean, really, I know there's exceptions to the rule, but the data, you know, there's data to support that evidence, you know, to say within 1 mile of the abduction site is where this child will probably be found. If it's after 3 hours, it will probably not be found in a state that anybody wants.
Exactly.
And yeah, that's
interesting.
interesting.
And here's the problem. I don't know if you know this about Amber Alerts. A lot of people on here probably don't understand this, but Amber Alerts, they don't want it to be called, they don't want it crying wolf, if you understand what I mean. They want to make sure it's real and the child was abducted, not a runaway. They got to prove that the child was abducted before they put an Amber Alert out there, because they want people to take Amber Alerts serious. You know what I mean? They want them, when they hear it, it was an abduction. It wasn't a runaway. It wasn't this. But the problems come in. Let me explain what happened. Last week, a baby went missing. Okay? And since they couldn't prove it was an abduction, they didn't put an Amber Alert out for it. How does a baby run away? So they got to change things a little bit. A 1-year-old and a 6-month-old is not running away. And the baby ended up being unalived. And people are like, why didn't they get the Amber Alert sooner? You know what I mean? It's just crazy.
Jeez. Can I ask you a question? I know you're not actively on the force any longer, but I'm interested in your opinion. So with this 2-year-old child that I was just talking about, that the father is now a suspect for custodial interference. She's been gone for 2 weeks. They spotted a vehicle registered to his family entering Mexico. She has a health condition that is serious. Why is that? Does that not meet the criteria?
I would think it does, yes.
It's been 2 weeks.
And now he took her across state lines. I mean,
potentially, yes. They have not physically seen them.
I don't get it either. And I understand why they do this with the Amber Alert, because they don't want crying wolf. They want you to hear that sound and know there's a child in trouble. So I get why they don't put a ton of them out there. But maybe we have to adjust it a little bit. Everything always has to be adjusted. We learn some things and we have to adjust things. And I think they need to adjust the Amber Alert. I really do.
Did you follow the Sebastian Rogers case out of here in the Nashville area?
No, I didn't.
That's okay.
I did follow the Riley case where he went.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about it? I'd love to hear your opinion on it.
Okay, this is just my opinion.
I got it. No problem. I'll give you mine too. Go ahead.
I worked closely with Chris Dingman, who was the family representative for the Strain family when that whole incident went down. That was all here in my backyard in Nashville.
Okay.
I was down at the bridge where he went missing. And after spending a lot of time under that bridge and a lot of friends who were really, really involved in searches, I don't believe for a second that he accidentally fell over that bridge, tumbled down all that rock and brush, and made it to the water by himself without help. That's my opinion.
That's my opinion.
I've seen it in 3 dimension. It does not it does not look the same on a camera or a photo. When you are there, it is a very rocky, steep terrain for him to have accidentally just fallen over. That's just my opinion. And I'm glad the family's fighting for answers.
And listen, not only that, think about this. If he did fall, let's just say he did fall, to get into the water would have been hard. Am I right?
Yep. To get in the water would be hard. How did his pants come off? How did his shoes come off? There was nothing that I've seen in any of the autopsy paperwork that there were like a bunch of abrasions or anything on the body. I know he'd been in the water for almost 2 weeks. I'm not a scientist, or I don't know what that can do
I
to a
can tell
body.
you what it does.
But okay, well, I don't know anything about that. But to this day, I've not heard anything about external injuries. They ruled his death as drowning, and the cops are sticking to that story. And the family's just kind of like, well, explain to us how this is possible, falling over this little wooden ledge and making it down that steep embankment. And, again, trees, rocks, brush, the water is pretty far away.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you this, Ethan. Like, I always talk to like suspects when I had them in custody and this and that. And let me tell you what I learned from criminals. They pick on drunks. When they see somebody that intoxicated, there's even people out there that pretend they're cops to rob them. They'll like search their pockets, and he was very intoxicated. You could see in the video he was very intoxicated. So that is somebody they would pick on because he can't defend himself. When you're that intoxicated, you can't defend yourself. So I'm with you on this. I never thought he fell into that river. I will go to my grave thinking that he never fell into that river.
One interesting note that if you're not a local or if you weren't down there, like when I was down there, I personally felt very unsafe myself in broad daylight. I mean, there were probably between 30 to 50 people living in those trees that are just there. That's where they live. And they live on the embankment there. There's little caves over there. And I felt like I was in danger at certain times. And he was walking there at like 10:30, 11 at night. So
in the dark,
by himself, inebriated, no doubt. So I think that he met some bad folks. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't want to get graphic on here, but I want to tell you guys this a little bit. Like, water does a lot of bad things to a body. It does. Especially him being in there 2 weeks. It kind of like blows the body up. You kind of like expand. And honestly, it doesn't even look human to the point. Honest to God. Because I've had a guy that was in the water we were looking for like 2 weeks. And honestly, it didn't even look like him anymore after we found him in the water. But I could tell you this, to me, I don't think in the autopsy with the body looking like that, they could explain a lot of things. That's my opinion, especially with wounds and everything on the body. That's just my opinion. I'm not a coroner. I don't do autopsy. Right. Yep. But I'm just saying that's my opinion. I would bet I live in Vegas. If I'm a betting man, there's no way he fell into that river. He was robbed. He was robbed, and he was murdered. Is what happened. And I hope Riley's parents definitely get some answers.
I agree, man. I could not agree more. The reason I brought up Sebastian Rogers is because when we were talking about Amber Alerts, they put out an Amber Alert for Sebastian on the second day that he was missing. So on day one, they don't have any evidence that anything happened outside of him walking out of the house. That's their best guess. The parents, the family is not considered people of interest or suspects officially. But what was interesting about that is they had an Amber Alert. There's no evidence of an abduction that we know of. There's no vehicle that's involved that law enforcement has ever mentioned. So I'm wondering, how did Sebastian get an Amber Alert, which is still active now, 3.5 months later? It's still an active Amber Alert. How does that one get approved, but not a 2-year-old with a medical condition that might have been taken to Mexico? So I'm just confused about the rules,
Yeah, listen, I'm going to tell you this. What we have, every police department has a computer system. It's called NCIC. Did you ever hear of this?
I have,
and
yes.
It goes everywhere, okay? So like Ethan, say you were missing, right? I'm typing Ethan missing from Nashville, boom. You are in the computer. So if you are seen in friggin', anywhere, Pennsylvania, New York, a cop pulls you over, they know you're missing. You're in the computer system. That's just how it works. You know what I mean? And they do the same thing with missing people. Missing people, warrants, everything go into this NCIC. And then when you do an Amber Alert, you fill all of it out like you're putting them in NCIC, but then you send it to this. Our state police were in charge of the Amber Alert. So we send it to the state police. There's a group of guys on the Amber Alert thing. They approve or not to put it in Amber Alert. I just want to explain that's how it works. That's how it works in Pennsylvania.
That's helpful. So
had like a couple guys assigned to the Amber Alert.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
So it's interesting because I personally called Moscow PD and Pullman PD to say, hey, why isn't this child in the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children database? Why doesn't this qualify for an Amber Alert? And honestly, I'm not speaking poor of the cops, but they're just like, and I'm like, well, can you guys find out? They're like, well, the FBI is kind of running this now. And I'm like, okay. I don't know, man. I'm very frustrated about this one in particular because this 2-year-old's been gone 2 weeks and she's not in any public database. It's all us spreading the word.
Listen, I promise you I will do a video. And listen, Ethan, anytime you want something pushed, a case out there, you definitely turn to me. Definitely, I'll push the case out there. But
I appreciate that.
Getting back to the Amber Alert, maybe we have to change it. Maybe that's something we got to do. I know Missing in the USA, he has a petition to change the Amber Alert. He wants us all to sign it. So if you go to his page, he does have that because he believes we have to change it too. Because think about it. The baby didn't run away. The baby was abducted. It should have been an Amber Alert right away.
And I know the Amber Alert is for people under the age of 18, but the circumstances are so different with an infant versus a teenager. I'm not saying they can't both be in danger, but I just feel like there should be a little flexibility or that it might be worth revisiting the Amber Alert rules. I'll sign that petition any day.
Yeah. So would I. Would you do me a favor? We got about 7 minutes here. Our guys, a lot of our comments here, they're interested in the Sebastian Rogers case. Explain that to me. I'm sure I heard about it, but let me give you my opinion on it. Could you tell me about it?
Yeah, this is so first of all, just so you know, I personally was in Chris and Katie Proudfoot's home. That's Sebastian's biological mother and Sebastian's stepfather. I was there for about 2 hours with Olivia Vitale, Chronicles of Olivia. We were interviewing them. And this was about 3 weeks after Sebastian went missing. Just so you know, I was at least technically close to this story. So Sebastian was last seen, and I'm forgetting the dates now, was last seen, I believe it was February 25th. It was a Sunday night before school. And the only person at home was Katie, his mother. Katie goes to bed, and she wakes up around 6 a.m. and notices he's not there. She went, to make sure he's getting ready for school, and he's gone. His window was not open, as far as we know. The front door was not open, as far as we know. And it's like he literally vanished into thin air. So what really got wild about this story is that the parents did nothing to help themselves in the media. They did not interview well. They did not, they weren't out searching in the woods. It was a bad look, kind of the way that they managed that whole thing with their child being missing.
Right.
And it turned into a huge circus. That child is still missing. Technically, there are no suspects, according to law enforcement. Nothing's off the table, they say, but they have no idea what happened to that child. And he was 15 years old. He was autistic as well. He had in the past kind of run off before. I think they call it eloping. He wasn't a runner per se, but he had some challenges and he struggled with certain things based on his diagnosis of autism. So it's just a really sad story that's really turned into a circus, in my opinion, in the media, especially on TikTok. 2 PIs have been fired. There's a PR guy that's in trouble now that's tried to help the family. It's just been an absolute circus.
And just to give you my friend, I used to go over his house all the time. He's one of my best friends. his son was autistic, and they used to have to put like things on the knob so he couldn't open the doors because he would just leave. You know what I mean? He would open the door, so they actually had to put locks on the knob so he couldn't just leave the house and walk away. But you're saying Sebastian was not like that. He didn't leave the house, right?
According to his mother and stepfather, who I spoke with personally, he was not the type to just run away. Right. Now, that devil's advocate, one of the neighbors was interviewed by the police, and he said that he found Sebastian hiding under his car one time. So maybe he was playing, maybe I don't know. But it's just really sad, and I hope that he's safe somewhere. The more that we find out about that home life, and even on his biological father's side, the more I wouldn't be shocked if he wanted to get out of there.
I understand.
That's just my opinion. And my heart still breaks for that whole family because I think they did the best they could, but that child deserved better for sure.
And you know what, Ethan? I could see that it affects you. You know what I mean? I hate to call that out, but I could see it affects you, and it affects me too. And I never thought it would. Like, honestly, this affects me more than it was when I was a cop. I hate to say that, but I think I'm just going over bad story after bad story. I started losing faith in humanity. I start thinking, Jesus, is there anybody good out there? But then I meet you, Ethan, who's out there spreading this good word. And I mean that sincerely. You're a guy who don't get paid, but you're going to help families. People don't do that nowadays. People are selfish. And honestly, man, you should be definitely commended. 100%. Please follow Ethan. Please follow Crime Scene Collection. And I will put that on my videos too.
Thanks, Danny. I'm trying to rebuild some good karma, man. So yeah.
I mean, and you know what? I'll be honest with you. Like, if you see some of the ladies here in my comments, they do this. They push for this also. They might not have a platform, but that they're pushing, but they push it to me so I can get the word out there. Then they repost my videos. So honestly, it's everybody TikTok working together. Honestly, and I love our crime creators out there. You know, I like London. She's very good. Justin's good. There's a couple other ones good. I mean, I just think that the more word out there, the better for everybody. It really is.
Yep. And I try to play nice and not burn bridges because I need everybody's help. You know what I mean? When I'm helping a family, I want to be able to text every creator I know and you know, have them help this family. So my TikTok is yeah, Angela, my TikTok is just Crime Scene Collective, scene with SEEN. I don't know why I thought that was clever at the time, but it might just be confusing. So but yeah, Crime Scene Collective, we post a lot of videos. Again, my partner finds a lot of these stories and families, and then we just sort of try to help them get attention around these stories and get justice.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, what you're doing is amazing. And listen, I reached out to you without knowing you.
Yeah.
But I saw and I thought, hey, I'm gonna get this guy on. I mean, so I'm glad I got you on because you do work with you work with Olivia, you work with Justin. Like you said, what you're doing is amazing. And I'm going to definitely, anybody that comes to me that I think might need your help, I will push them forward. But please, same thing with you. I promise you I'll get the word out. And you can ask my followers. You might have to text me 3 times or DM me because I do have ADHD and I forget. I'm not
no worries, brother.
I just forget.
Appreciate you giving me this opportunity. I appreciate everything you do to help these stories get out there. And man, it was just a happy accident that we found each other, and you just rolled the dice. And hopefully I wasn't a problem, and I can come back sometime.
I'll be honest with you. This was a great podcast. And let me tell you what I'm going to do, Ethan. StreamYard now has this amazing thing. They added AI to this. So when we get done with our video, our live and it processes and everything, I can press artificial intelligence and it'll give me like the highlights of this, and I can post them on YouTube like 30-second clips, 60-second clips.
Oh,
and again,
wow.
you know how people are. They don't want to listen to a whole podcast, but they'll listen to a 60-second clip. So
I don't want to hear myself for 30 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, I'll post all of that too, and we'll get the word out even more. But thank you for coming on. Please
Yep.
stay in touch with me. And
I
we'll
will,
get
brother.
this to the next level. I promise you.
Thank you, Danny. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Have a great day. See
All
us
right.
next week.